you give out your age? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
It gives me a reference.
I'm 38 years old.
All right, good. That's not bad. So you're almost as old as me.
38 going on 12. No, I'm 23.
Okay. And you're from New Orleans?
Well, I live in New Orleans. I'm
Okay.
currently based there. But I'm actually from Oakland, California.
Okay.
That's where I grew up. I moved to New Orleans for college.
So, what are these guys asking? Are they talking about different influences kind of stuff?
Yeah.
See, I want to learn something more interesting.
Okay. Well, both of my parents are visual artists. They both teach. They both teach art. My mom teaches she used to teach at the San Francisco Art Institute. My dad teaches at Fresno State, teaches culture. So growing up, I was taken to museums and galleries and stuff like that. My mom listened to nothing but the Beatles and Bob Dylan. But I grew up in Oakland and Berkeley, California, going to public school. So when I was at school, I was surrounded by hip hop culture. So it was like these two totally different worlds that I kind of grew up in. So I guess that's probably where a lot of the influence comes from, because my music is like a balance between like 60s pop and just modern rap.
And when you, so your 60s pop influences from your parents, sounds like, right?
Yeah,
did you actively listen to it, or you just kind of heard in the background?
No, I got into it, and I still, to this day, my favorite band's the Beatles. That's mostly what I listen to.
If you could rap with any Beatle, living or dead, okay, and why?
Yeah, I've always been a John fan over Paul. I think he's a cool one.
Were you dissing George? What's going on?
No, but I'd love to get John to sing on a song and co-write something with him. His harmonies are so beautiful.
Now, if you were allowed to go on tour, a major tour, and they had a John Lennon hologram, would you do it?
No. I think the hologram thing's kind of weird.
Even with John Lennon? If the
Maybe
Beatles gave
perhaps.
permission, John Lennon
Maybe
gave
perhaps.
permission?
That'd be weird.
It would be weird. Okay, you're in the Detroit area. You ever been here before?
I have, and I've had a great time.
What's like the obviously in this area, Eminem's going to be the big story for how many years? Biggest selling artist in the last decade.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your take on this guy and how he's influenced you at all? If he has. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Growing up, Eminem was a huge influence. In part, like you said, because he was the biggest selling artist in the decade. His influence was everywhere. Everyone had Eminem albums. He was the biggest thing alive. So, initially, Eminem, Tupac, Dr. Dre, that was my start in hip hop. That's what I listened to initially. So that'll always be there. He's one of the greats.
Give me something, one thing you've learned this week and one thing that was really fun. It doesn't have to be music related. Give me something you learned and something you had fun.
Well, something I learned is that when you tour, you have to fight to try and put on a great show every day, regardless of the circumstances. Because the thing is, I live this every day. I get to see all the crowds. But these kids that buy tickets to come to these shows, they see one show and one show only. And if you don't sell it, and if you don't kill it at that show, that's their one impression of you. They're like, yeah, I saw Cheap. Nothing to write home about. And it doesn't matter if somebody in LA or somebody in San Francisco was like, he's the most amazing performer I've seen in hip-hop. It was unbelievable. It doesn't matter, because to them, that's the only taste they got. So you have to go hard, and you have to, find a way to, even if you're tired, or even if you get a bad slot in the day, or, regardless of the circumstances, you have to find a way to put on a good show every day.
And so, do a lot of girls line up to your shows? Are they up there? Yeah. And what do they yell stuff at you? What do they say?
Yeah, they scream. They're like, oh my God, have my babies. It's great.
And then when's the first time you heard that? Do you remember that day when you were at a show performing? Have you done club tours? Is this a big break for you?
No, this is definitely a big break, but we've done touring before this, but this is the craziest,
Okay.
For a while, it's kind of like a process of building up this star, building up the brand and all that, I've always had girls interested in my music and seen girls in my shows. But this is the first one where they're really going crazy. Back in the day, record labels could cover up a lot of stuff about an artist and package them just right and control their press and media and all that to make sure that the artist was portrayed how they wanted them to. But nowadays, it's all see-through. It's all transparent. So it's like, there's no room for that. There's only room for complete honesty and being yourself.
I think that's great. I think you're proof of that with this interview. Hey, I got a question now. A lot of fans are really interested that are Van Warped Tour fans of what a day looks like, because you guys, they kind of blur right now a little bit.
Yeah.
But what is kind of some of the outline of your day on a typical...
It's crazy.
Give me some highlights.
Yeah.
High or low lights.
You wake up in the morning, probably earlier than I would usually wake up. But my merch guy's still up before I'm up. He's out there setting up the tent. So I get up, I make my coffee, I get ready to, once we figure out the set times, I gotta say, okay, I'm playing at this time, I'm gonna do press at this time, I'm gonna do a meet and greet at this time, I'm gonna go get lunch at this time, I'm gonna go get dinner at this time, etc., etc. I'm drinking my coffee, getting ready. Once you figure out what time you play, that's what time you figure out what time you want to start drinking. You get ready, you perform, you do your meet and greet, that'll usually last about an hour. And then once everything's done, it's the best part of the day. Once you pack up your merch tent and all that, that's when everybody comes to the bus and we're chilling, we're drinking, we're smoking, and we're enjoying the evening. So.
Do you think you'll have a chance to work with other artists maybe that you meet on this tour, either live or in a recording someday?
I'd love to. At the least, I know I'll be working with Mod's son, who I share a bus with, and our friend T. Mills, who's always hanging out on our bus, because both Mod's son and I brought our studio equipment with us. And I do all my own recording and engineering, so I've got it all right there set up to go on the bus.
What recordings do you use? What kind of system?
I just use Pro Tools 10 on my MacBook, and I've got a condenser mic. It's really just set up and go.
And do you do your own beats then?
Yeah, I make all my own beats.
Even on your records?
Yeah, all my own beats on all my albums.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Did you start that way when you were a kid?
Yeah, I started making beats first, and then like a year later I started rapping.
One thing I respect about rappers, I'm impressed, is how they can put so many words into a song compared to, say, a rock song.
No, totally. The syllables.
Rock song, you've got a couple verses that are pretty basic. How do you get all those damn words in that song?
I mean, I oftentimes it's the opposite, man. I'm trying to scrouge down like that much into just what I mean? Yeah, because it's like you're telling a story, and you want to. A song's not that long, so you got to pace yourself throughout the story. If you have 3 verses to tell that, and make sure that you fit it all in, but that you hit every detail and people can feel the story at the same time.
Don, do you study songwriting as an artist?
Absolutely.
And do you think about verses, choruses? Do you do a bridge?
Yeah, well,
what do you call it?
Yeah, no, I definitely study songwriting, but more so like from the perspective of the songwriter. What emotion did he capture? What feeling, what story happened in his life? What circumstance, made him write that song? And what stance did he take on it? Was it like a girl left me, so I took this stance and perspective on it? Or was it like, I don't know, I made a lot of money as a rapper, I made it, what stance did he take on it? Was it like, I'm glorifying this, or is it just like, I'm bragging about this, or whatever? It's all about perspective, and I try to, capture a perspective that's as honest as possible, and that's as relatable.
I'm pretty sure I can answer this question for you, but I'm going to make sure you answer. A woman's got to be into your music to be in a long-term relationship, I'm assuming.
Yes and no.
Really?
Because I was with a girl before that would have been happier if I wasn't doing music.
Yeah, it's not good, though.
It wasn't good, but it made me know that she wanted me for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, if a girl's too into my music, I kind of feel like her motives might be questionable.
You're flipping around. Okay. Yeah. But what if you really know she loves your music? That's got to be a good thing.
No, it is good. It is good. As long as, that's not the only reason.
No, I know. I mean, not because of fame or fortune, just because she really does dig your music.
Yeah, for sure.
Isn't it the best thing?
It's good to have somebody supportive, supportive of your, whatever you love to do in life. Make sure that person you love is supportive of that.
All right, well, I think I'm done, man. I got some great answers.
Right on, man.
I really appreciate your time, and I'm curious to watch your career develop.
Sick,